Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the RantCast Podcast. We're live, everybody. Hope you all are having a wonderful night. We're going to have a great show for you guys. Give me 1 second, and I'll get us all started here. Episode 69, and it's April 1st. If that doesn't show you we're all about the memes. Anyway, I am Josh, also known as TheStrangeBus, and you can catch me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. That's twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. Also on YouTube, and that's TheStrangeBus. I am joined by Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans, and that is twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. You can find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Also, XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans on YouTube. I'm bringing him on here right now. And Kurgan, whenever you're ready.
RantCast. RantCast. Hey. I love that intro music. Suno.com, right?
Yeah, that was intentional. I wanted something in the back.
Suno.com, right? Yeah. Game Boy. Don't you mean Game Man? Game Boy. Don't you mean Game Man? It's good to see you.
What do you...
It's good to see you.
Sega?
Sega.
Anyway, everybody, hope you're having a great night and or day wherever you are in the world. We have some interesting topics for you, but before we get started, how is everybody doing? Hope everybody's taking good care of yourselves and each other. It is that time of year, and I think I've already put this on my Discord, but it is that time of year for hardware upgrades, and I've said it once, I'll probably say it again multiple times during our topics. It is and isn't that time of year. I've advised multiple people not to upgrade if they can spare it this year due to all the unnecessary bullshit that is going on with the market. And I'm doing it this year, so you don't have to. But if you are, congratulations, you've survived. And hope everything works out and nothing breaks. So that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah. Don't spray that compressed air on your processor when it's going.
Don't freeze up your parts, ruin your part.
Even if it's to impress your girlfriend.
Rob, I know that you're building one. I have most of my parts back here.
Hey, look at that.
I am upgrading most of the whole new setup. I'm debating on whether or not just to wait and just do get more NVMe's and some SATA cables and stuff like that, but we'll see when I put her together. I'm skimping out on the video card this year, no matter if the prices drop or not. I'm not a supporter of the weird bullcrap that has happened, that has been caused by both the consumer and the businessman. So when the market settles down, we'll take a look at it. Yeah, well, if you can always build a new one, build a new one. Episode 65 was muted. My end, hopefully things are better now. We tested it prior to starting this episode, so hopefully it stays and it's functional. I don't know what happened. We still don't know what happened. I thought it was something to do with how I had my original stream set up, but turns out that's not the case. So I just switched audio inputs and switched back, and it looks like it's working.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
Funny because it was not doing that
when
I do a stream. I haven't been streaming much, but I did do a stream after a rantcast, and it was working just fine. So
Weird stuff was happening.
I did,
Gremlins in the system. Like someone was pranking us.
Assassin's Creed.
Gremlins in the system. Like someone was pranking us.
Yeah. But speaking of Assassin's Creed, we've got some news on our good old friends at Ubisoft, and we've got some more hardware news, and we've got the HeroQuest Power Hour. So we've got some great things going on, but once again, Kurgan, I haven't asked you, how are you doing? Your neck of the woods.
Pretty good.
Trying to clean up my apartment.
Camping trip that I'm supposed to go to on this weekend, but it's pretty darn cold. I feel like I'm getting. I don't know if I'm ready for it. Couldn't find my tent stakes and just I don't know. I'll just make the best of it anyway. But
for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, battle hardened to the cold.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, as much as I like to geek out on tech stuff, I like to have that clean break. You know, go out into the woods, hang out with Harrison Ford until those guys come to kill you, and you know, gotta be a witness. Yeah, gotta be a witness. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, as I recall, there is some topics on Yieldin. And
oh yeah.
Then we've got some news on TseuQuest, correct?
Yep. With Yieldin for him, or do I need to share my screen with it?
I've got the link you sent to me, so give me a second to go ahead and bring that up real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Got that brought up here. To our listeners, we are going to be showing some things on the screen. We'll do our best to describe that for anybody who's not watching. Okay. So I brought it up.
All right. Can you see the pictures though?
It's just brought this up here.
Yeah.
The PC HeroQuest PC rule differences. Is this what you want?
I'm really loud. He says.
Really loud. Okay, give me a second.
You didn't have to say it, but you know.
Let's try that. Let's do a sound check real quick for everybody. Is that better? Go ahead and talk real quick.
So this was posted in Yieldin forums, of course, and it's the Ruler 76. And what I thought was cool here is here you have an Italian developer, just regular guy, basically reverse engineering the old code from the old Gremlin HeroQuest PC game from 1991. And it's all in Italian, but he's making like little improvements. So I thought this was cool, what he was doing here. So he's got a whole list of like changes and things. But like the doors were hard to see in the original, so he redid the graphics for those so that you can actually tell what the doors are on the map. And there's some like unused animations, like for the monsters, like when they're moving around, you don't see their backs ever. So he put that back in. It was like, oh, cool. Little things like that. And then there was a flaw in the monster AI. So you could just like move just off screen and the monsters could never get you. But now they can actually follow you around corners. So it's like, oh, great. So, I mean, you know, it was this old game was an attempt to bring HeroQuest to the PC. You know, just turn-based stuff. You know, it was pretty limited when it came out. I mean, especially compared to other computer games that we had back then. Could have been a lot better, but I just think it's great to see like little passion projects like this. Like I'm sure it took him like an insane amount of time. He could have just made his own game, but he decided to go back and improve it. So I think that's pretty sweet. So the Ruler 76, you can visit his website. And I know that this is the Ruler 76. I thought it was great. So the thing about TseuQuest is it's a source of a lot of anger for a lot of people because, as you know, it was 10 years of waiting and still people can't get it. and still backers haven't gotten the product they were promised over and over again all these years. I mean, from 2014 onward. But the interesting thing is, despite all of that, I mean, I think if I had pledged, I would have written it off. I would have just said, you know what, he got my money, and if he's not going to give me a refund, screw that guy. Like, I'm never doing business with him again. Like, it's over. I'm not going to say anything nice about it. It's just done. But this guy is not the developer. Okay, he's just somebody who joined the project later, and he's been working on translation. And it's taken forever, and I'm just like, man. But then I just get the impression that he's not being paid. He's just doing it in his spare time. Like, they just sent him a copy of the game, and they said, hey, what can you do? And he had some spare time to work on it. So in this video, he's basically just going through like the history of the project, like all the setbacks that they had, the Kickstarters, the name change, all the he sort of shouts out Always Bored Never Boring and Amalgamash, who did really negative videos. But I mean, like, I have nothing against those people, because if I'd backed this thing, I'd be pissed too. I'd just be like, it seemed like a good idea at the time, and all this nonsense, and they still haven't like done it. Well, after this guy's video came out, the latest thing was, of course, April Fool's Day today. Got him. So the designer and the developer, he posted on his website the first 10 pages of the quest book, which they had never done before. They had posted the full rule book, but now they have a rule clarifications FAQ that's out, and the first 10 quests displayed in a PDF. But when you click on the English version, it just goes to the Rickroll video. It was like, dude. But he was pointing out, this guy, he's like, yeah, it was in pretty bad taste. They did that. I didn't know they were going to do that. And his point was, the Spanish backers were the number one supporter of the project, and they have their game. They can buy it in stores in Spain right now. It's limited quantities, but it's perfectly accessible. English backers were the second biggest group, though. So it's just like, okay, why do you have to stick to them? I mean, okay, it's April Fool's Day. He better have like a nice gift tomorrow, otherwise people are going to be just like, F off. Yeah, the Rickroll. I mean, we've talked about this before, this game. Yeah, go ahead. We've talked about this before, this game. Yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, that was just my question was, are they just having trouble, like, pumping it out to meet the demand, or what?
I don't honestly know what the issue is. I mean, his customers took him to court, basically, was the whole thing. Like, I think there were a lot of rumors about TseuQuesT, or ZooQuest, as this guy calls it. The popular theories were that, Hasbro is suing this guy. Hasbro is shutting this guy down because he can't use HeroQuest. Well, no, that's not what it was. What it was is they were holding on to a tiny little piece of the rights, apparently, for HeroQuest. And Hasbro, as part of their program to get their IP back, they got it from Chaosium, who is using the HeroQuest name. They got it from Games Workshop, who is using the art. And they got it from whoever was holding the rights in Spain. So they had to change the name. So it's legal. But anyway, these customers took him to court because they're saying, like, listen, we backed this project. He made all these promises. He kept saying, wait, just a little bit longer. You'll get either your refund or you get the product. They just strung him along and strung him along. And I've said many times, I was in a project like this where I got strung along for years waiting for a refund. And I was, lots of people were in the same boat. So I get what they're saying. But they took him to court, and the case was basically, I'm not a legal expert, but it was just like, he's not guilty of criminal wrongdoing. Of course, that doesn't mean that he's not done something shady business-wise, and he's provided a poor customer experience, because he absolutely has. But at least he wasn't going to go to jail. And I don't think they got any money from him. So that was the other thing. So I mean, if I spent money to take this guy to court and got nothing out of it, like I spent money and got nothing. So yeah, I'd be pissed. So I understand the negativity. But the thing is, it's like, if the only thing that's holding this up is the translation, I mean, why is this guy making these long videos, talking about it when he could just be working on it? I mean, is he trying to like recruit somebody, like get a few more people, get AI to do it? But yeah, if you look it up, back when it was big, it was called 25th Anniversary Edition. Sorry, go ahead.
Is my audio off? Sorry, no, I was just answering. Is my audio off?
No, I can hear you. Are people saying your audio's off?
I had a question if I
They're saying your mic is in an adjacent room.
Like, do I sound far away? I mean, my voice is a little raspy because I've been coughing for a long time.
Oh,
I know I'm just really low. I'm speaking really low. I'm getting over being sick.
says
So
I'm twice as loud as you are. Why did a guy call me out like that?
We're both matched up. Hold on. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I appreciate you guys trying to help us out here.
I appreciate you guys trying to help us out here. Not loud at all. I'm also pretty far away from my mic, so let me turn myself up a little bit. See if this works. Hold on. I'll adjust my sound. Is that better? I don't want to jack the gain too much. I don't want to get too much gains. But
Kinds of gains.
or I'll just move my mic closer to my face, I suppose.
Yep. But I mean, look at that funding, guys. Scroll back up again. Does it show? I don't know if you want to move that window up just a little bit. Yeah. 1,172% funded. Like, that makes me think he's got plenty of money. Now, in the video, this guy is talking. I mean, check it out. It's long, but it's worth it for the insights. I mean, he's talking about the fact that basically this designer, he bit off more than he could chew. Like, he's done miniatures, but he hasn't done like a full game. With the tiles and the cards and booklet and box and all this stuff. And it's just like, okay, that's rough. But I mean, I've said before, like, I mean, if the price they're talking about is real, like, I wouldn't mind trying it out. But I also feel like people would hate me, saying like, why are you supporting this, shady company and their crappy, disappointing product? I mean, if it just came out for everyone, like, people could just buy it and judge for themselves, right? But you'd still have a lot of people that have a bad taste in their mouth saying like, I don't want this. And they're still gonna, like, if anybody asks, they're gonna say, well, this is, this guy scammed people basically for years, so why should I promote it? I don't know.
So what was the price again?
I don't know. It's like, how do you salvage your reputation after that? I mean, lots of games go through development hell.
What was the final price for the
I mean, lots of
game?
games go through development hell. Yeah, I think you probably have to go to TseuQuesT.com. I want to say it's €120 or €150, something like that. Something like that.
And you still don't get a complete game from it?
No, you do get a complete game, but it's kind of like how OrcQuest, which was a success story. Like, OrcQuest had like a regular version and like a deluxe version that had all these expansions. I think this is just like the basic version, but it's a complete game. It's got at least as much content as HeroQuest did. because that's what it was trying to be. I mean, it was trying to be HeroQuest before Hasbro got their brand back and actually brought it back. Now, if you wanted to recreate this package, I've said this before, if you wanted to recreate this package just buying the miniatures that they sell, because it's a regular business, it would cost you way more, like 3 times more, I think. So, I mean, I'm not going to order this from Spain and translate it myself. I would just, like, if it came out and I saw it in a store, like, okay, I might give it a try. The other downside, we've talked about this before as well, is the assembly. Like, you have to build everything. Like, every miniature is in pieces. So it's like Warhammer. I mean, except that instead of like clipping the stuff off the sprues, it's just in a bag. So you're like gluing it together. And see this video that you're seeing here, back when this was being shown, like people were excited. They were like, yeah, this looks awesome. Like, look at all that. They've still got the HeroQuest name and everything. But now it's just kind of like nobody cares. I mean, if you go to Board Game Geek, the forum, like it's just negative posts, and it's months and months ago that anybody said anything about it. So again, I don't blame them. But it's kind of like I am a little bit curious. Like, okay, well, is something going to happen? Are they actually going to put it out?
It just reminds me of like I don't know if you ever heard of a game called Star Citizen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a well, I don't know about indie game, but it was like a beta that ran for years and years and years and years, and took so much of people's money over and over and over again. And they kept updating it and told people there's going to be a final release eventually, and there was never a final release, and the game is still buggy as crap. It's playable now. You can play a version of it, but it is like the biggest, like, I don't know, I feel like it's the biggest con.
Star Citizen.
It's not an illegal anything. It's kind of like a legal loophole, but the game is interesting because it's like being in a huge galaxy with a big economy and all that crap like that, but the ships you have to buy or build are used with actual currency and all that stuff like that. So
Yeah.
It's when it started off, there was promises that it would be a big galaxy with lots to explore, and then it turned into this big galaxy that was almost all MMO, and now you have to buy everything with your own money, and
Well, imagine
talking about doing more games like that. And haven't even finalized
imagine
the current one.
you were all in on Star Citizen. You were really excited about it, and then somebody made a game that did what Star Citizen did, but better. You'd forget all about the first one, wouldn't you? Unless you were
They have.
drawn into the sunk cost fallacy, and you're like, oh man, I've already spent so much money. I've got to.
I'll rephrase that. They've made games more interesting and less intricate than Star Citizen. There is an audience for that, where people want to have a learning curve that takes, I don't know, a week to get a hold on the game, and have an actual like duty, whether it's becoming a mechanic on like a space cruiser or whatever. But I don't. I just want to hop into a game and like get a handle on what it is. So there's an audience for it, but there are tons of open world games, and big 4X type games that have done it better now, I feel.
Well,
and it has lost a lot of traction, but there is an audience for it still.
Well, and I think you can say that about TseuQuest. Because you've got HeroQuest, Hasbro's HeroQuest, and you've got games like OrcQuest, and you've got I don't know, Gloomhaven, like other games that are much easier to get your hands on that do basically what the main appeal of this game. This is just yet another one, and it's not very accessible. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just bantering, man. You call it QuestQuest.
Yep. Well, I thought it was great that they released the rules at least, because I was thinking to myself, okay, this is basically like a fan mod now. It's like a fan mod for HeroQuest. Like, you could take these rules and just mine them for ideas to create your own stuff for regular HeroQuest. It's like, okay, sure. Now I don't need the game. Unless I really like the models. Which, I mean, some of them look cool, some of them just not that appealing to me. Certain snapshot in time of like what games look like in 2014. But yeah, it's funny, the project that I got sucked into where I waited for years for a refund was Paprium, which was it was supposed to be a retro like street fighting game for the Sega Genesis that Watermelon Studios did, and man, I got my money back, and I never turned back. But it was funny because like people were comparing it to Streets of Rage. It's like, oh man, if there was another Streets of Rage game, this would be it. But then they released an actual Streets of Rage 4, and it was like, screw the Paprium, who cares? We've got the real thing. I mean, yes, you couldn't play it on a Genesis, but still. I mean, those passion projects, I mean, like Beats of Rage and stuff, like those are fun to just burn and like play it on your Dreamcast or whatever. But yeah, a cartridge game, it's going to be really expensive. There's just no way around that because they're expensive to make. And yeah, there was like concerns that okay, it might like damage your console because it didn't have the right voltages and like just all this stuff. It's like no. So, but I guess the positive side is that people who got screwed over by this guy doing TseuQuesT went to the regular HeroQuest or went back to the old HeroQuest, and they're having a great time because that's all they wanted in the first place, just a game that I can get, that's actually affordable. And I mean, the modern HeroQuest, you don't have to assemble anything. It's like right there. I don't mind a little bit of assembly, but see, now here we're seeing Hasbro's HeroQuest. That really brings me back, that commercial.
Didn't you play? Streets of Rage? Didn't you play the new Streets of Rage?
Oh yeah, we sure did.
That was really good.
Yep, I think we got right to the end in Mr. X's lair. And I think you had to take like a restroom break, but the continue ran out and it didn't let you continue. So it was like I was playing at the end by myself. I'm like, no, it's so far. I'd do it again though. It's a great game. I appreciate the first Streets of Rage more because of you. Because everybody I hung out with was just like, no, forget Streets of Rage 1. It's 2 and 3. And where it's at. But Part 1 is a really good game.
I never got the chance to play the second one as a kid.
Part 1 is a really good game.
And I was a master of it because it was like that. There's that time period where I got 3 or 4 games as a kid, my Genesis, and I had those games for a really long time. Like it's not like now where like you get a game every couple months or whatever, or
rent it, trade it.
Like I had these games probably till like next Christmas or birthday or whatever, and like so you had to really stretch them out. Unless like you rented, I guess. If you wanted to go and get rental, you could. But I mean, yeah. So I still never fully beat that game as a child. I got to the end once, but I never beat it. Never got to the final part of the end. Me and you got to the end of that game.
Yeah, you got to see.
To check mark something off my bucket list because I never officially got to beat it, but I was really good was really good at every other. It was really weird because like I knew people probably better than me, but like it's like one of those things where you could get good at a video game, but you could still get your ass handed to you. So,
Yep.
I like grabbed the controller. I was like,
Yep.
like riding a bike. I like throw exploit all the time. Thrown. So.
Well, and Streets of Rage is a game where it's much more fun with another person. And Streets of Rage is a game where it's much more fun with another person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But that's how I learned how to like cheese throws all the time. Was because I played a lot of that by myself.
Nice. The timing of the jump kicks, so you get it perfect.
There was
Nice. The timing of the jump kicks, so you get it perfect.
Yep. That and Terminator. Play a lot of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Streets of Rage remake is good. That Turtle remaster. Never got. I don't know. We played the new one. Like that came out like forever ago. But like I said, I still hands down. It just doesn't like because it's a nostalgia winner for me. There's nothing better than just sitting down and playing the original.
Nice.
I've got my classic controllers that are third party.
Rob, are you talking about Shredder's Revenge? Rob, are you talking about Shredder's Revenge? Modern game. But it's done in like a side-scrolling sprite style. Because I have never played that one. I watched some videos of it, and I guess I have never played that one. I thought it looked a little too cutesy, and I'm like, I don't know if I thought it looked a little too cutesy. But I'd probably enjoy it. It'd probably be worth it. It's probably worth it now. Going down in price. It's probably worth it now. Going down in price. Well, there was a remaster of so there was the Cowabunga collection. Which was the two arcade games and I think most of the console Ninja Turtles games, so Game Boy, NES, Super NES. Oh, you're talking about Streets of Rage. Well, okay. So for Streets of Rage, there was a fan mod called Streets of Rage Remake. And it was basically like he reverse engineered the three Genesis games and kind of like merged them together, and he added like his own new content. And I think it got C&D'd. I think it got shut down. But so many people had downloaded it. It's like you still occasionally see people like streaming it. It's really fun. Like they put in the motorcycle, like where the cut level from Streets of Rage 2, where you could ride motorcycles. Like you can't do that in the regular ROM, but he put that in there, the designer. And like Adam from the first game, like he wasn't in the second game, just in cutscenes, but they like created new sprites for him, so you could play as him, and he was my favorite character. So it was like, yes, booyah! He always yells booyah. He does the jump kick. But Streets of Rage 4 had you could unlock the characters from the other games, and it even had them like you would spawn in with the character and it'd be like lower resolution than everything else because it was like ripped from the Genesis game. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Streets of Rage. So as far as HeroQuest though, I'm going to be doing something this weekend. Either camping and freezing or doing something else. So I'm going to be missing the gaming convention, Bologna Play in Italy. And up to this point, nothing was happening. Like we just thought, okay, they're just going to talk about First Light in Italy. And, yeah, great for those folks, but nothing new. Wins Wizards of Morcar, wins Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. Well, on Instagram, I believe, Avalon Hill posted a note, and they said, "Big HeroQuest announcement coming." I'm like, okay, don't be an April Fool's joke, please. And I said, well, maybe they're just going to announce First Light really loudly. It's a big announcement. So anyway, we're all hoping that it's going to be one of the two projects that has not been officially announced yet, or maybe something we don't know about. A big surprise. Yeah, Rob, I love those games and I still do. I can still enjoy them.
I love those games and I still do. I can still enjoy them.
Yeah.
What's
So.
what's the assumption on what might be released?
Say it again.
Say it again.
What's your assumption on what they might announce?
Well, I guess there's a number of possibilities. I would like it to be that they're going to say, yeah, here's what's coming out in the next 6 months. Crypto Perpetual Darkness Retail and Wizards of Morcar. But big announcement could be anything. I mean, it could be something that they have managed to keep under wraps. Like maybe the IP crossover. Like my latest joke was, well, maybe they're working with Tenzi. It's going to be HeroQuest and Tenzi. They're just going to have different colored dice. It's like, that'd be just silly. But they've done that before. They have had projects where they managed to keep it under wraps. So Rob's thinking Crypto Perpetual Darkness. See, I was thinking they were going to save that for Gen Con so they could get Joe Manganiello to come in. But who knows? Who knows these days? I mean, D&D needs a win.
You don't want to give anybody COPD.
Yeah. Oh man. So I don't know if we want to cover this or not, but it's outside of HeroQuest, but Dungeon Craft, Deathbringer here. That guy, he did a video about Shadow Dark, talking about it's not all bad news out of Dungeons and Dragons. Basically just talking about the fact that like after Sigil failed their attempt at a digital RPG, I mean they basically sabotaged their own project. Wizards of the Coast did, by laying off 90% of the staff. Like that's just a bad sign. People are just going back to old school stuff. People are going back to spin-offs like Pathfinder. And Shadow Dark, I think that's another one of these D&D spin-offs.
Because I have a feeling they're going to try to control that next.
Oh, go back to the OGL again?
You can't control what you already have.
But go back to the OGL again?
Like limiting, what content gets released, or I don't know how they'll do it with that. But there's a will, there's a way, and that's what I'm saying. Is that's the one great thing that I feel like you guys have that's really good with that sort of entertainment. Is really, I don't think there's a full way to corporate control your product or steer it in a way to where your consumer has to become fully dependent on the business.
Yeah.
Because it's a board game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was made in a time when you really did need to use your imagination or have some form of creativity or interact with the people around you. And if you take that away, you're killing your product. So I feel that, unlike with the video game, even if you have to interact with somebody around you in a video game, it's still kind of part of the illusion. They could still kind of fuck with you on that front.
Oh yeah, totally. They can take the servers down. They can. Force updates. They can.
Yeah, with the content that you're messing with, but with this, if you own it, or if you know somebody who, a local shop that'll sell it, there's usually something that you can get even new players involved with.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's I think the great part with that sort of thing. I don't know how they want to try to modernize the D&D experience, but and I don't know if anybody is gonna understand like where I'm coming from here, but it really is gonna be a consumer-based market on that front. Like,
Yeah.
there really is no, um,
Yeah.
you know, well, yeah, I guess you could do that. I mean, that was kind of going to be my next sentence. I guess they could wait it out, but unlike with digital products or, I guess more digital entertainment like now, AMS, I feel like that's not money they can lose. Uh, you know, or at least it's not money they want to lose.
Yeah.
You know, big companies that cater to that one product are kind of willing to lose a little bit here and there because they'll make they'll make some schlock here or there, and they'll still make something off of it, or they'll break even with it.
Mhm.
I don't think they're breaking even with this.
Mhm.
You know, every new idea they shoot themselves in the foot on, like really bad, or they get met with like complete like negativity from the audience on. So
Yeah. Because your existing customer base is super hardcore, and they can be your biggest cheerleaders if things are going well.
video games don't need microtransactions, Joe. But I get where you're coming with that. Like, I nothing needs microtransactions.
No. I mean, if you're gonna gamble, just gamble, right? Got the D&D gambling machines now, so you
But
can.
that's the thing. I think that if anything, they will move the experience to something more public, or I guess more like consumer, not consumer based, but yeah, I guess with something more public. I don't know if it would be something in the gambling area, but something where you could go and pay, I guess like you are now, but you could go and pay and you could get a richer experience, I guess.
Yeah.
But right
Yeah.
now, I think they're trying to cater to like a more digital trend,
Mhm.
and it's just not working.
Yeah. Well, I think I've told some of you that the amount of effort I have to go through to do my streamed games, and it's like, how convenient is it to have just something you could fire up on your mobile that has all your characters, all your terrain, your music, your dice rolls, it's all there, and you can just connect with your friends and play. And maybe it's free, but they feed you ads, or they have a subscription-based thing or microtransactions. And if you don't know, if you think that's the whole game,
But does
yeah, you
anybody
get sucked in.
remember?
Yeah, you get sucked in.
Does anybody remember when that was the whole point of making things digital, or moving from physical to digital media, or going to, or even with video games, right? From going from because technically at one point in time, the evolution of the board game experience to like a video game experience was the fact that you were to take your imagination to the next level, right?
Yeah,
That we were supposed to be moving up, not
Yeah.
moving back.
it's
And
limiting you
I
now.
think I've said this more times
It's
than,
limiting you
than
now.
not, and I probably mentioned this more times on this podcast,
Mhm.
but more so than ever, I feel like we have gone one step forward and 5 steps back when we go into the next generation. It's really weird because we will make good steps good steps forward, or we'll make progress towards a better product, or something that might make somebody's life easier, or something that might make production better, and then we will find out how we can not only market it but make it wholesomely worse for the user. And then on top of it, because we have human error, right? Humans are dumb. we have that. We like to be in control of everything, or we like to do things our way, or people in power like to have their own little spin on things. We have to they have to add their own little curve on top of that. So it not only we have this thing that was great and is now worse, is going to get even more worse because the company is now adding something that is going to make them more money on top of it. So, and that's how I've explained.
Yeah.
When video games were coming up onto the next gen era, from you had your, what was it, 7th generation, I think was PS2 and Xbox. When you were going into that, they started with downloadable content, and people were in uproar about that.
Yep.
People were pissed off about downloadable content, and then the company certain companies, developers stepped back and said, well, it's not going to hurt your game experience. We want to extend the life of the video game while giving you something. If you enjoy it, you can keep playing. People eased up a little bit, and then they took something that could have been a great idea and made it worse. And then when you went into the next gen era, we got things like the season pass, multiple DLC, useless DLC. We had, I don't know if you remember the online pass.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Where you opened up the thing and you got an online code. So if you bought a used game, you couldn't.
You had to pay.
Then,
yeah, WWE did that.
And then, which I didn't care. But then you had the, what was it? To top it all off. Oh yeah, we went from paid internet back to free internet as a plus for PlayStation, and then PlayStation started charging you for not only free internet but to even use their network service.
Yuck.
And then we started doing microtransactions.
Yeah.
And multiple quarterly DLC, and we just wanted to slap as much extra stuff on there to see who would grab onto it.
You could pay somebody else to play the game for you.
Yeah, and then you had streaming and stuff. Like Netflix had a really great idea. They started making everything accessible from the home, and we didn't think that was gonna last, which it didn't. But the main networks came in and they wanted a piece of the pie, and they were like, okay, that's fine. But then net neutrality fell off, and now we have 16 different services.
Movies jump from one to the other.
Yeah, if you want to watch a show, sometimes 2 seasons might be on one network, 2 seasons might be on the other. So piracy's looking real good right about now.
I started watching Babylon 5. I like it. I'm getting sucked in.
Are you?
Yeah. It's been accomplished.
4-episode rule. I'll be watching it on a streaming service.
Skip the ad.
Just ad.
Like it just skips it in a second.
See, you are talking
Like
about
it just skips it in a second.
the ads.
Yeah.
Non-stop ads. See, I don't really have a right to complain about those too much yet. As much as they are annoying, ad space is bad. It's getting worse. I can complain about it with Google because Google and YouTube are finding ways to incorporate ad space tailored on how what ads you want to see, which I don't want to see any, but they'll just hammer you, and they're ruining creators too because they will hit you with an ad per every minute 30, and it's starting to be worse than what ads used to be like on TV. There used to be 5 minutes of pre-roll, 20 minutes of show, and you get that in between. Now there's 8 to 10 minutes of pre-roll on your YouTube videos. Probably even more now. I think it's 15 minutes. So, not to mention the fact that everywhere you look, you're being deep-throated with ads. So, it's ridiculous. And then they try to make you pay to make them go away.
Ad blocker.
Come on, man.
Well, and here's the thing. YouTube, occasionally they'll berate you if you log in at a prime time, and it's ad blockers are not allowed on YouTube. You will be blocked if you continue using an ad blocker. And it's okay, any video that I watch, like people have sponsors, so they're already so like you would interrupt your own video and just be like, but first, word from our sponsor, and you just like say an ad in the middle of your show. And it's like I'm not skipping that, but I'm skipping the hey, Tide Pods, they're great. Just pop one in your mouth today. It's like what?
That's what I'm saying. Is they don't get paid for those sponsors, so that's a whole problem in itself, and that's why I've kind of like started reducing my YouTube time, is because the creator, the creator initiative or whatever they called it was a problem in itself when YouTube started it. It's a thing where they created it without knowing the consequences, and then when they realized that everybody else wanted to be a YouTube star, they looked back and go, oh shit. And now now they've got this big problem, and they're trying to figure out a way to reduce it, which they have started trying to find a way to reduce it. They are throwing pre-roll into everybody's videos. They are using the algorithm to point out which ones are like actually grabbing attention. There's a better way to put this. I'm just like, this wasn't my topic of the day, so I'm now just ad-libbing. But that's the thing, is you have these people that will run non-stop ads, and they just have this big problem where they have an abundant amount of people using their bandwidth, and blowing through their service.
Yeah.
But as far as the sponsors go, the sponsors are all on themselves. It's just another like layer of people trying to make money on top of YouTube, and the creator trying to make money because the content program doesn't pay anything anymore.
Right.
Unless
Exactly.
you're making millions and millions of views.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they need sponsors on top of that, and then they need their Patreon and all that other crap. Like, it's ridiculous. Why do we keep talking about D&D? I don't know. I need caffeine. I'm starting to slow down.
Well, Bohemius, the reason I talk about it is because I feel like it's right next door to HeroQuest, and what happens to that is downstream. I mean, like we're downstream from D&D. I know there's people who say, well, it's a completely different product. You shouldn't worry about it. But I feel like if something happens there, that emboldens the company to make changes in other areas. I mean, if they're smart, they'll just leave HeroQuest alone, right? They're not going to get some bright idea. I mean, they gave us a digital tabletop in a way with HeroQuest with the companion app, but they were very smart about that. Like, you still need the physical game to actually get everything out of that you're supposed to, and you can throw it away too, and nothing changes. Like the game is still just as great as it was before. There's no like hidden content. I mean, I guess they threw some extra artwork in there, but
So Joe, I'm with you on that. It's not my problem. I hate all the begging to join Patreon. If I joined Patreon for every channel that I watched, I'd be broke. Yeah, I can agree with that.
yeah,
But I also don't have a premium account either.
yeah.
Like I would definitely not be paying YouTube for that. YouTube Vanced is an option. If you or the Vanced Rewind tool helps get rid of ads if you want to use an app. I would not recommend it publicly. There are ad blockers you can use. I usually do not use well, I'm on iPhone now, but if you're using Android, you could just go in a browser. I don't condone paying Google anything. They take enough already. And they're a business.
Yeah.
They aren't the government. They're not, they're not even obligated to take anything. They're providing a service.
Actually, Joe.
So,
Actually.
your finger works on sponsored videos.
So
Tap, 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 tap. Oh,
Yep.
skip through it.
So yeah, that's one way.
And
Firefox
actually skip
has
through
a whole bunch of extensions, and I'm not endorsing any particular ones, but there's ones that will flag, like you're looking at the timeline of video, it'll put like a little green section where the sponsors are. So you can just like, just click your mouse and skip right over it. So you can just
AI
like, just
and,
click your mouse and skip right over it.
And algorithms are perfect for detecting things like that. There are good reasons for that. Like I said, I had a friend who had that app, and it would automatically detect based off when the person triggered a sponsor, and it would skip the sponsor.
That's what you need, a physical button on your headset that'll let you skip ahead 30 seconds. So if you're driving, you just tap.
The app did it.
So if you're driving, you just tap.
There's an app that people use, and it goes down every now and then because, once again, Google's fighting it. But it's called YouTube Vanced, and it's part of the Vanced cracked apps that you can download. And it will, it's pretty much YouTube without ads. It's YouTube Premium for free, pretty much. You just download it, and then it has built-in services on it that will like detect when somebody's like shilling a sponsor, and I can't tell if it's like the app itself, like if it's like leading the video when they do it, like if it's already got the tag, or if it's doing it while you're watching it, but it will say sponsor. It'll say it while we're watching it, so sponsor popping up, skipping it, or skipping sponsor, and it'll just skip the sponsor.
Yeah.
I usually just skip through it myself, but
Yeah.
it's not. It
To
isn't my
give
problem.
somebody my money, just would.
I've made my donations personally to the people that I enjoy watching.
See, yeah.
And personally, like I do it all the time on Twitch. There are people who actually, get down there. They do the work themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not people trying to run an algorithm or sell their soul for cash. And like those people who are just being themselves are the people that I enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm.
They literally get on a camera and they are themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people who, back in the day, got on Johnny Carson and actually made something out of themselves. And, that's the whole reason I wanted to start streaming, and it was a hobby. But the big thing is if you can't be yourself and you have to follow some weird algorithm because money is too important for you, then you shouldn't be on in the first place. There are millions of other jobs that'll pay you if you work hard enough to pretend to be somebody else. You're just taking up space on the platform. And that's it. But like, nobody young enough gives a shit or cares. And I know we've gotten like really, really off topic, but I guess it is part of the
Works every time.
Yeah, it is part of the basis of our topics.
Here you go. YouTube Shorts. Can't put ads in those.
You hope it. I don't need those. Those are so like I've only done a couple, and those are to just promote the RantCast.
Yeah.
But some of those are so predatory.
Yeah.
Everything is predatory.
I agree.
We need to stop ranting. This is so like.
I agree. We'll never run out of things to complain about.
Ranting.
We'll never run out of things to complain about.
No, we don't. Like, I wanted to get older in my life and actually complain about things that changed for the better, but I just didn't like them because they changed.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm complaining about things that are worse because they are worse.
There's too many flavors of Doritos now.
And
too many flavors of Doritos now.
And the younger generation's getting screwed, and but they don't know any better, and they just like it. I'm like, no, stop doing that to yourself.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss.
Indeed. But I guess that coming full circle to Bohemius's like statement here, going back to things like D&D, is I think a lot of companies, I don't know if like, in the last 10 to 20 years, we've changed. Most companies have probably changed, CEOs or leadership by now. And once again, I think it is a generational thing, right? My generation, the people a little bit before me, like in the 80s, they're coming into the hot seat now. And to be honest, and this is a personal opinion, I do have a lot of them here, but this is like a really personal opinion. Disagree with me if you must, but I feel like not a lot of us are really well equipped to be in that seat. So we just do what we can, and what we know best is just screwing people out of their money, and that's kind of how I've put it together. I always see a lot of like the people before us. Yeah, they were assholes, but like their sons are even worse, and they don't even give a shit about the business. So I always figured it's something kind of like that. Somebody gets into the hot seat, or they're in a big company, and they literally are just trying to make sure number go up. So, and that's why I've always told people, like, I've never run a Fortune 500 company. I've never been in a big like CEO chair. Never run with corporate execs, but I have met a couple. I have run my own business. I've had a couple of big interviews. I've had a couple of actual big business meetings. I've been in that seat for a decade, and I've known people who have run their seat worse than me. I've known people who have squandered their chance before mine fell apart, and it's not easy. It's not a simple job, but there are better ways of running a business than looking at a spreadsheet and seeing what fat you can trim every year.
While still making record profits.
It's a lot harder to do.
While still making record profits.
Yeah. Victory Design Power Dice are back in stock. I'm always in the mood for some new dice.
You and everybody else. Yep. You and everybody else. Yep.
You were supposed to send me some dice, weren't you? You gave me my dice.
Yeah. Well,
How
I was going to
dare
hand
you.
deliver them. Give me my
Oh,
$2.
well, so much for that.
My $2. Should I just mail them to you?
$2.
Should I just mail them to you?
No, you can hand deliver them.
All right.
I just have to get you over here again.
Yep. See?
All right.
Holding your dice hostage
yeah.
until you invite me over.
Before,
Holding your dice hostage until you invite me over.
Before I go into another big epic tirade, and I apologize for anybody who got to hear that, I'm mildly tired, and I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's what this podcast is for.
Yep.
And everybody has an opinion and a right to one. So, but before we continue, is there anything else on HeroQuest and or the D&D discussion?
That's basically all I got.
And
That's basically all I
pointing
got.
at you. Okay. All right. I'm like dual fisting drinks right now because my throat is super dry.
Problem with
Unfortunately.
celebrities in general. You can't put them on a pedestal.
Wait, what? Better Off Dead is one of my absolute favorite films, but John Cusack has gone off the deep end. Really? Just like Mark Hamill. I always feel like Mark Hamill, like as he got older, kind of just got more grumpy, and then just kind of like absorbed the persona that he had. Super liberal. Which is he like political? Probably. Once again, I think that his politics have probably just never been shown up until now. And
Could be.
he is also in his 70s now, right? So keep in mind when you reach that age, like, man, I feel like I'm losing my mind some days, right? I have 4 kids, busy schedule, like, the days kind of just blink by some days. Like, I don't know how I do it some days. I don't know how my wife does it some days. She's busier than I am. But I feel like when I reach that age, I'm hoping my day is I get to sit outside and yell at people. Like, or if I'm at least working, that I'm happy. I can just smile at people, Like,
Yeah. Enjoy yourself.
I'm that cute little old man.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, like, this whatever. That like my organs aren't failing, and I'm not crapping my pants, and I'm not like, having all sorts of medical issues. That like I've got my faculties at least in line. I'm just moving really slow, and I'm probably cleaning up some store somewhere and getting assistance.
Yeah.
To live somewhere I probably don't like, but I'm still smiling, and that's it. Like, but I feel like Mark Hamill's kind of he probably has some demons in his closet that he's probably not telling for good reasons, and that's fine by me. Like, I liked Mark Hamill throughout most of my childhood.
Yeah.
And into my like adolescence.
Yeah.
I think he's lived a pretty decent life. I've heard rumors that he's not very kind to his family in certain regards.
Yeah.
But he's also in his 70s too.
Yeah.
So if he's like a senile old man right now, and he's like gotten so used to playing the persona that that's the only time he's kind, it's because it's the only thing he can kind of remember doing, or like the only thing his brain knows how to like function doing, then whatever. And he's just so stressed out that when he gets home, he just treats everybody else like shit.
Yeah.
It would really suck knowing Mark Hamill then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I met Billy D. Williams once, and that was the only time I ever want to meet anybody from Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
It was not a great experience.
It's rough.
So,
Yeah. It's rough.
it sucked really bad. I was not crushed because I don't hold celebrities up to that standard, but I was very honored to meet him, and he was hungover with shades and would not take pictures, wouldn't even give anybody a handshake. So he fist bumped a guy who was like infatuated with him. So, and that guy is like was in his 70s 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That guy was like old.
Yep.
And you could tell he was hungover. He was just, did not want to be in Iowa. So,
Rough.
Rural Iowa.
Rough.
So, and that's where that con was taking place. So.
Yeah. I'm glad you got to meet him. It's too bad.
So,
Yeah, he wasn't. Heart wasn't in it. Bad. Yeah, he wasn't. Heart wasn't in it.
That was all it was. And his pictures, I think, for 2015, he was charging like $50 to $70 a picture, which was like, to me, was steep enough. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need pictures anyway. So.
Oh man.
I met Brandon Roth. I met Lou Ferrigno.
Oh yeah.
I met a lot of people there, and they were all cool. Jason Mewes was really cool. That guy was like the most talkative, with probably good reason, but for the most talkative and cool person there.
And he's been through a lot of stuff. That guy.
I'm not like a huge fan.
He's been through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, and he was really cool because I was very do people in Iowa really want to be there? Not particularly, but I'll tell you one thing. I bet you people in New York really hate themselves right about now. I would rather be here than a big city at the moment. I mean, I bet a lot of people in New York don't mind being there, but like what I'm saying is like, I don't mind being boring. So, you know. But yeah, like Jason Mewes is pretty dope, and like I said, my first con going was like, I was very shy. I just didn't say anything, didn't do anything, and he was the guy who kind of like snapped me out of my funk.
That's nice.
So he took like 7 pictures, and they were free. So
yeah, see, that's how you do it.
yeah.
I mean, if your job,
And Brandon Roth
see, that's how you do it.
Who does?
I mean, if your job is to meet the fans, just
that?
make it. Yeah, if people come there for a special, I mean, yeah, I guess you do have people that are just there to scalp autographs, but I mean, yeah, it's like that's part of your job is to meet and greet, be cool to people who look up to you. You know, sounds like he put himself into it, and that's that's all you could do.
He did. He was very chill, and William Shatner was supposed to be there, but I didn't really care to meet him either. So it was Brandon Roth was cool. He was the guy who played in the 06 Superman, but I know him as Todd Ingram from Scott Pilgrim, and that's where I got his autograph. I got his sheet of Todd Ingram, and he was like laughing at me because he's like, nobody ever picks that one because he's more known as Superman. I was like, well, nope, that's what I know you from the most.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a pretty cool dude, and like I said, most of those guys were. I don't hold celebrities up to like a standard, so I usually grab my autograph. I say I really like your work. You're really cool. Thanks for taking the time, and I'm out. Like a lot of people like to talk and all that stuff, and I'm just like, nope, I'm out. See you later. Grab a picture, I'm out. A lot of them are like wanting to start conversation, so nope. See you later. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to when William Shatner made fun of Star Trek fans on SNL, which you're supposed to, but he got a lot of flack for that. And I think over the years he realized, that was kind of I went too far. But like Harrison Ford resenting Han Solo and Patrick Stewart resenting Captain Picard. It's like, okay, eventually they came around too, of course, or maybe just the money was too good to pass up. But yeah.
I'm gonna say for Ford, it was probably the money.
But yeah.
I mean, I think Harrison Ford didn't mind playing Han Solo. I think it's the trope, because like to him it was art, right? It was the work.
Mm-hmm.
When he first got that role, he was fairly new to the whole experience of acting, and it was probably a great role for him. Then he got Indiana Jones. He's also Deckard. He's got a whole bunch of like roles under his belt.
Yeah.
What is he most known for? Han Solo, and like it can really kill an actor who's probably had multiple like awards and all sorts of stuff, and probably sits on a fucking high ass pedestal, and they get known for one role.
Yeah.
But
well,
like, you know what? At the end of the day, it kind of puts them back down to earth a little bit too, because without that role, you take probably 25% of your fame away at least.
Yeah.
Because
just be grateful.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Just be grateful. I mean, Mark Hamill did the voice acting thing. That was pretty smart because everybody saw him and like, hey, it's Luke Skywalker. It's like, okay, but now he can hide behind it. It's like, oh, Who's that guy doing the Joker voice? He's doing a good job.
Who's that guy doing the Joker voice? He's doing a good job. He was not great with other roles, though. He had a hard time getting out of Luke because when he acted, like, wasn't he? And he was in like a military movie that I saw.
Yeah, I only saw him in The Guyver and Wing Commander 3. Yeah, I only saw him in The Guyver and Wing Commander 3.
See, that was okay. That I could kind of distinguish, but that was like years later.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
We're talking like he had small roles after Star Wars, and like he just could not get out of it. And he always played the young kid, and it was hard for him.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Big Red 1?
I never saw that.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
Was that a Korean War movie?
That one when I was young.
Was that a Korean War movie?
A movie to watch.
Or was it World War II?
Like I said, I just remember being like really.
Was it World War II?
Like, yeah. See, these guys know. See, I just remember seeing some movies that he was.
Great War movie.
Always, like I said, he always got typecast.
Great War movie.
And he always got put into certain roles.
Oh, okay.
Scene, and it was, it wasn't good because then he couldn't escape. It's like, what's his name? Who did in the new Star Wars movies? I mean, he kind of already has some roles under his belt, but he did. I can't remember the frickin' character's name because I don't really care about those movies.
Which actor?
But
or character?
Really good.
Which actor? Or character?
Well, okay, I'll do another example because I remember this guy. The guy who plays Andor, he is in a really good show right now. So he's still doing Star Wars, but he is in a lot of different roles right now. And another big one right now is he is in a TV show called Narcos, which is about the drug cartel.
Oh, yeah.
In Mexico. And that is by far one of the best Netflix shows. Because Netflix does not have a lot of good going on.
No. They turn out a lot of slop.
No.
They turn out a lot of slop.
But he does really well. He does really well.
I never saw Gladiator 2.
Some different tones.
I never saw Gladiator 2.
So, I'm trying to find the other guy.
The actor who played Poe Dameron actually has done a lot of stuff.
There we go. That's his name. Well, that's his character's name. Sorry.
I think he did a good job as Duke Leto in The Dune. Part 1.
The Dune. Yep, he was in Dune.
Part 1.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, yep.
He was in
The Nativity Story. Oscar Isaac, yep. The Nativity Story.
Yeah, he was in a couple movies afterwards, but yeah. And he was Moon Knight, which I'm not gonna mention, but like, I'm more like thinking like he does a lot of different stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, like there are people who have escaped the Star Wars
curse.
They gotta be quick. But then you get people like Mark Hamill who had to think outside the box, and then you have people who were kind of doomed for failure, i.e. Daniel Radcliffe, who was in a really big hole for a long time. He just could not get out of that Harry Potter hole that he was in. Terry Fisher. Yeah, she wasn't in a lot of, was she?
No, Blues Brothers and I think some comedy, but Blues Brothers and I can't remember. Can't remember.
Yeah, she kind of rode the wave though for a while.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Under the Rainbow. That was a movie I saw one of these comedic reviews of it, and I was like, I've seen that movie before, and I couldn't remember anything about it except this one fight scene at the end. Like, that's the one. One fight scene at the end. Like, that's the one.
Okay. All right. So we should probably jump to our next topic. We have strayed farther from the grace of God.
Yep.
Although I'm very much enjoying this. This is a nice interaction we're having.
Yep.
I like this.
Freestyling it.
It's nice.
Freestyling it.
It is a nice little freestyle. Okay, so
RantCast. That's right, Rob. RantCast. That's right, Rob. All right. Lay it on us.
hardware news. We'll start
All
with
right.
that.
Lay it on us. Oh, man.
I have gotten no words on AMD with their next gen or their next series or next lineup of GPUs. However, the 9070, I did grab the accurate MSRP for that. I believe it was supposed to be around $470 to $540 MSRP. Right now, and this is just to prove a point, if I were to look one up, let's see. It's really hard to look one up because they have models of CPUs similar to them. So let's see. Right now, if I'm to look up a 9070 GPU, they range anywhere from, and this is including the 9070 XT model, which is still relatively cheap, MSRP. They could range anywhere from $700 to $1,300.
Dang. It's like the price of the computer itself. It's like the price of the computer itself.
The only one in stock that was relatively cheap was the Yeston AMD Gaming RX 7800 XT, which was the last gen card, and that's $599. And Yeston makes these weird ones. I guess Gamers Nexus ran these cards, and I guess they perform really well. But they, like, I don't think you can see them, but they're like anime waifu cards. They've got like anime backplates, and they have scented, like, sticks in the GPU.
I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now.
They're really weird.
I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
It's like you got this giant fluffy pink bunny. But hey, it gets great FPS on my game, so don't judge me. It's great FPS on my game, so don't judge me.
It's supposed to perform really well, so yeah, it's supposed to smell like the ocean breeze, I guess. But if you don't watch Gamers Nexus, you should. They did a review on one of the Yeston 9070s, and it was hilarious because they took one of the scent sticks out, and it was very strong.
Dang.
But yeah, so they're still way over MSRP right now, way over. You'd have to go hunting for one. I don't particularly go hunting for my GPUs because if they're that hard to find, to me it's not worth it. So I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but the reason I'm getting into this is because this was a great time to do an upgrade, right? I bought my CPU in 2020, around the time the 30 series was launching out, and it was also being scalped. So I took the time to go hunting for one, and it was not only incredibly expensive, which by now they're backpedaling on those. They said that, oh, they died down and went down to MSRP. They did not. They did not. I bought immediately that time. I bought a a 2080, an RTX 2080, and unfortunately had to buy one for the price of MSRP for what it would have been new. I bought one refurbished during that time. That's how hard it was to get a GPU during COVID. And because I had been looking so much that I had to look at from a trusted seller. I had to call some of my contacts to verify to make sure that I wasn't getting a bad GPU, because I'm not doing that. I'm not going to pay, what was it, $1,100 or more for this GPU. And the only reason it was refurbished was it was reboxed because the box was open. So they reboxed it. But yeah, it was a dumb decision. I'm not doing it again. My 2080 is very reliable. Thank God. The 50 series has not been very reliable, I've heard. And they are twice as expensive as where I bought my 2080 for. Twice as expensive and twice the percentage of cost. More than that. So if you want to buy an NVIDIA card, you're spending like $1,000 plus more. If you're buying an AMD card right now, you're sacrificing performance, and you're paying twice the price than what MSRP would be. Not to mention the fact that hopefully they're not just releasing 9070s. I don't know how AMD does their lineup, but I believe they're doing 2 more models eventually. But the thing that took me is their last cards were the 7800 series, I believe. And then they went back to a model they've already named, which makes it confusing. They took Intel's route, and then they decided to name their cards the 60, 70 to 90 model cards, similar to NVIDIA. So their NVIDIA sliced 20% off performance and price. And that's why I'm kind of backing off this year, and why I would suggest people to back off this year, at least on GPUs. Because it's kind of like we're all just kind of taking advantage. Both the company and the people are taking advantage of people who are either in need or do not want to miss out on the FOMO. They don't want to miss out on the experience. And you're not missing out. You are not missing out. The 50 series has been a fucking mess of a launch, and the new AMD cards are not going to give you, if you have a decent NVIDIA card, they're not going to give you a huge jump in performance. So unless your card is failing and you need a new card, like now, I wouldn't do the hunting it would take to get one at a decent price.
So it's not worth the price of admission.
And
it's not worth the price of admission.
No. And like I said, the people were saying that like I said, my 4080 is equivalent to, I think, the 5070. See, the 5060 or 5070, I think, is what they're talking about. Not so much the fact that NVIDIA was quietly getting rid of their physics technology, which is mostly covering 32-bit support for games. There aren't a lot of 64-bit physics software, but like that's like games like, like Mirror's Edge or Mafia. Probably not like games that certain people play today, but if you wanted to visit a lot of older games and they use physics and they don't have a way to toggle them off, you're going to get bad performance on your 50 series card because it can't handle the old proprietary technology that NVIDIA chose to use. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like, they were tested by a couple of people that I've not only watched, but use as sources, and not just Gamers Nexus, but they were getting awful frame rates you know. And once again, yes, new cards, old games don't always work, but usually there are workarounds for stuff like that. So, people are now suggesting that you shove your older card in with your newer card to keep physics support. Like you put a 980, like a GTX 980, if you have one, like an old GTX card, or like maybe an older model RTX card or whatever, if you could fit it in there on like your bottom PCIe slot, whatever, just to see, so you can choose it as the physics support for your card if you want to play something that requires it, which is very unnecessary. So that's all I'm saying. Is like you got one company that's making cards with missing ROMs and bad hardware. You've got another company that is kind of just trying to piggyback off the other company a little bit, and I think really should be upping the competition because their CPUs are kicking ass. Their architecture right now is doing a really good job. It's at least competing. They need to bring their GPUs up a little bit. And if that happens, not only would I encourage people to buy this year, but I have a lot more to say other than don't buy. But like I said, I've got pretty much a whole setup here besides my storage and my AIO, and a video card's not going to be in there. I'm still going to be rocking the 4080 this year. I'm not buying a 4090. They don't make them anymore. NVIDIA quit production on them last year so that they could force people to buy the 50 series cards, which is a stupid idea considering the fact that they barely have any. So people can't even buy a card and give the money to NVIDIA right now. Like, there are people just sitting at home waiting for video cards. It breaks my brain on how this business strategy works, to keep people waiting at their desk to buy a card that's extremely overpriced. I don't know if it guarantees them a $3,000 sale now instead of getting people to kind of buy the $900 to $1,000 sale. I don't understand, but yeah, I don't get it. And then we had I think I mentioned the last episode, but we were muted. With the AMD cards, they were getting fake MSRP from both AMD and the third-party sellers. So people like Asus, MSI. You had people like, I don't know if it's PNY as well, but you had retailers who, the original MSRP was about around $500. But what would happen was you'd have retailers who would sell them for like $600-700. They'd run out of stock. People would wait for them to come in stock. They'd be $200 more when they came in. And then every time they'd run out, they'd kind of up the price a little bit because, people were buying them and they were counting on people not knowing what they were beforehand. So, once again, the MSRP for an AMD 9070 is extremely low. It is extremely low. And I'll just pull it up here now so that I can at least give you guys this factual information.
I don't have much to add, really. I'm just thinking back to the days when I got my Voodoo 2 and I was on top of the world for a short time before it was obsolete. But I don't remember video cards being that expensive. I mean, maybe they were, and I just wasn't paying attention.
Fucking huge,
But
bro. Absolutely huge.
I guess I have modest taste when it comes to games. Like, I don't I feel like I need something that crazy. Something that crazy.
So, the RX 9070 series featuring the 599 RX 9070 XT as 549 sibling, the RX 9070. So this is what you'd be looking at price-wise. And like I said, this is a this is their RDNA 4 GPUs. And
Wow.
these are just retailers, right? If you want to go to like a Best Buy or something,
Wow.
this is similar. So this is what the markup is right now if you were to go to a retailer. Not too bad, but still pretty nasty.
Newegg.
As opposed to like online to like Amazon or if you wanted to order. But like, yeah. But like, the Asus ones are really bad right now. And those are the ones I usually recommend to people. Like through my business, is like the tough overclocks or the Strix Gaming. Gigabytes usually are the ones I recommend because they're usually the brand names. They're the ones that usually perform.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got these ones that are like the Power Color, the Hellhound ones, which are the like supposed to be the cheaper ones. Yeah, but they're all like $200 over.
Wow.
Except for you've got the XFX Swift, which I never used that brand before for a GPU. So, but yeah, so this is the non-XT. So the non-XT, if you like the prices, they're fairly similar. Keep in mind, there's like a $50 to $60 difference between the two. And they're all about $100, $200. Some are right on the money. But like, once again, and just because we click on them, doesn't mean we're going to get them in stock. So, and this is Tom's Hardware, of course, but that's what I'm saying, is like, we're not guaranteed to get them in stock. So, now it's been what, 3 weeks since the launch of these GPUs, so things could have changed. Things could be better. You never know. But what I'm saying is that due to scalping, due to a lot of dangers, scams, price hikes, just a lot of shady business practices from online retailers and the third-party sellers that are selling the cards, I would avoid buying them. And if this keeps up, I almost say avoid buying from the third party themselves.
Don't buy it.
I stand by Asus on
Don't
a lot
buy
of
it.
things. But the only problem that you're going to get from Asus, and like I said, you get it from a lot of places, but they have a really big problem that they need to solve with their on-call support, I guess. I've never had a problem, but I've also never had a problem with an Asus product, and I'm crossing my fingers here. But I had one issue back in 2014, and I called them, and they were fairly helpful. But it's usually just pretty tough to get a hold of somebody sometimes.
Yeah, it's rough. Something to be said for good customer support these days.
Yeah. So anyway, most of the brands I just stand by. Corsair, MSI products I've used, Asus products I've used, Razer for peripherals I've used, but I haven't used them in quite a long time, so I don't know if they're still good. Yeah, I mean, no, these are non-sponsored, but like, these are products I would recommend if you're building, but once again, they are not budget products. They're not exactly like, they don't add a premium, but they're not budget products either. Like the motherboard, the CPU alone was about, I think, $800. So not super expensive, but not super cheap either. So it's just going to be like one of those things where you've got to look at your budget on how you're buying things this year. there's a lot of factors coming into play. And it surprised me when I heard that PCs were taking over for consoles at 67% of the market.
Wow.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, me too.
Wow. Because they are not cheap to build if you want to buy a PC that not only competes with the console of this era, but like also provides decent performance for the next 5 to 6 years.
It's a big investment.
I build mine for decent performance.
It's a big investment.
For half a decade. Yeah, and like I said, this one has been good and will probably still be good for the next couple of years. It'll go down a GPU, but like once again, my 2060 and that laptop is now just reaching its threshold. It launched Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is very unoptimized, and the game launched on low with upscaling all the way set, and was not that laptop was not having it, but it still played it. Everything was like struggling to keep up, but it played it at 30 FPS and did not have a hard time keeping that frame rate. So I didn't get long into it, but I did notice that, like, you know, if my laptop can play Cyberpunk, it should be able to play Assassin's Creed, which there's a problem there. But anyway, yeah, this one with the 2080 should be able to run games fine. You know, you're just not going to be able to run unoptimized pieces of trash, or, you know, certain games that come out in the next couple of years that may not be, you know, they may not look great, but they require better, I guess, better game engines or better hardware in general.
Well, for me, it's performance. Well, gameplay and performance.
For me, it's
more important than graphics.
Gameplay and performance are
But
more important than graphics.
I get it. If you invest in one of these really expensive hardwares, I mean, I'm gonna want it to be a workhorse and do what I want it to do. A workhorse and be worth it. What I want it to do.
Well, and that's another thing.
Be worth it.
I'm also behind on the curve when it comes to like monitor, and a lot of people play on better monitors. They play on like 1440p, or like they'll try to play on 2K or 4K or whatever. And I don't. I'm still playing on 1080p.
Like, these graphics are terrible, but man, they're big and bright. These graphics are terrible, but man, they're big and bright. Yeah.
I don't need a ginormous monitor, and I don't want.
No.
I don't want to spend like $400 on a 4K monitor that's only 27, 32 inches. Like,
It's gonna give you a migraine every time you play a game.
It's gonna give you a migraine every time you play a game.
I used to care about it back, like, when I didn't have kids, like the difference between your computer monitor and your TV, because the motion smoothing, the DPI, all that stuff. But like, really, at the end of the day, I just want a monitor that's color corrected and has the basics, so it's calibrated properly. So, I mean, yeah, no, I don't have a 4K curved monitor now. I want one, but it's the last thing. So I have a curved 1080p monitor, but that's it. I've got 3 monitors, but they're all set up for production. So, and I think this Acer here, is this the Acer? Yeah, or no, this is a MSI. MSI does really good monitors. I wanted another one to replace my Scepter, but I should be using that one as the main monitor, but it's not. It's not the curved one, so. But yeah, I think that one has a lot more features on it, but I just never got around to getting another MSI monitor. So, who knows? It might be on the docket someday.
I never thought much of the curved monitor fad.
I never thought much of the curved monitor.
I mean, when they're really, really big, it looks cool.
I mean, when they're really, really big, it looks cool.
I was gonna say, it's good when it's like an actual big monitor. Like this one's only 32, and you could barely tell it's curved. The only reason it's curved is it looks good on a 3-monitor setup because it kind of curves.
Yeah. It
looks
forms
like
a
it's connecting. It kind
a
of
horseshoe.
fits.
It forms a horseshoe.
Like the ultra wide curved monitors are what's up. Those ones look good. And before, when I originally wanted to upgrade, I was looking at getting one of those 87-inch like Samsung. What was it, Samsung or LG or whatever? It's the ones that are really long, and they could play as a 3-monitor setup and stuff. I wanted to do that. They're like $1,000, and I was like, I don't know if I want to spend $1,000 on a monitor. So I was backed out. But those I've heard were really nice to have. So I was thinking about it, and then I was like, yeah, no, okay, don't need one of those. But yeah, I would do a sleeper build, but I would definitely need a CRT monitor, like an old school CRT.
Yeah. Problem is they're getting harder to find.
I wish I could do that, but
problem is they're getting harder to find. If I got a used one, it'd probably have burning and stuff.
that's
If
sad.
I got a used one, it'd probably have burning and stuff.
You can go to the Cramden Institute and see if they got them. They repair those things.
Nice.
Fix them up.
I want to say it was AVGN was talking about hospital monitors. You can get old hospital monitors. You can get old medical monitors.
Those definitely all have burning.
Medical monitors.
Yep. But yeah, so going into our last topic, speaking of, when we're talking about computer games and stuff like that, Assassin's Creed Shadows was released recently.
Oh.
And of course it's a Ubisoft title. I was the fool who decided to try it out, give it a shot. Because I definitely wasn't getting this one for free like Outlaws. So instead of paying the $70, I took a month for their subscription program, which I definitely do not recommend. I still stand behind my thing. I don't recommend anybody subscribe to their shitty ass program.
Dang.
Because games are not good as a service.
No.
You should be able to own your titles.
No.
I
Yes.
treated this like a rental. It was better for $17.99 to play one game than it would have been to pay $70 and not be able to return it. So I paid that, and I got a pretty decent amount of time out of it. So far I'm 40 hours in, and most of the time I've been customizing my base and just messing around. It's been kind of fun. It's got the same kind of recipe as the last couple Assassin's Creeds, but I didn't play Mirage, but I think I played Valhalla a little bit, and because I got that on sale. I got Origins and Odyssey for $5, but those were really good because they were around the time they changed up the pace. And I started to enjoy myself a little bit with this one because I like the era that it's in. The story's not super bad, as far as I can tell. It's still a middle-of-the-road title. It's mediocre, but there are moments where it shines. Unlike Outlaws, where it was a hollow, mediocre experience, and I kind of never wanted to return to it again. This one kept me coming back home. I'd boot up, and instead of saying, hey, what do I want to play next? I'd boot up Assassin's Creed and be like, okay, I'll just play some. Kind of like back when I was in high school, play some Assassin's Creed for a little bit, So that's what I did. And it's pretty fun. It's got seasons in it. It has some additive to the gameplay for those seasons. You've got 2 characters to mess with. You've got something that kind of spices up a little bit of the gameplay, but once again, the gameplay caters to their buy-in program or whatever the fuck, like where it's an RPG, but like your area is catered to your level, and you can make the game easy, but if you want to play the game normally, the game can get overbearingly hard, unless like you buy extra this and that. It's not necessary, and there's not an overly long amount of grinding, but the game does make you grind. So turn down the difficulty a tad, and that helped the pacing a little bit. So I guess there's that. You can turn down the difficulty, and it helps the pacing, so you don't have to buy shit. And like with Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity and stuff, they didn't do that. You just had to either grind or pay up.
Yuck.
So
Yuck.
I got past that like slog, and like I said, the game is still pretty enjoyable. So once you get past the fact that you don't have to pay for anything, and there's just a lot of side quests, and you do the side quests, you level up a lot, then you're able to do a storyline, and you don't have to worry about like being underleveled or getting your ass kicked all the time, then you're fine. Like I said, it's just a lot of that to chew through. But besides that, there's an actual storyline in there. And I was bringing this up with you, I guess, before. I'm kind of missing games that have like just a storyline or an immersive world to kind of walk around into. And Ubisoft is kind of one of those companies, like they have development teams that focus on just doing that. Like I missed that with like the Splinter Cell games and all that. So I guess that's why I kind of like I get weak, and I go back to that every now and then. But you probably shouldn't, because they are a dying industry, and with the new wave of games that are coming out that are not a story focused, there's also another layer of crap on top.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, because I was literally just having hope that maybe I could play a Ubisoft title without having to worry about, and like I said, this is just me. I don't like supporting companies that are doing this. So, I mean, you can always think, I'm supporting the people who are developing the game, but either way, whether you're paying for the Plus service or you're paying the $70, you're still telling the execs or whoever made the service and is running that rhetoric, you're telling them that it's working.
Yeah, more of this, please, is what you're saying.
More of this, please, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I've bypassed a lot of games because of that. I've bypassed a lot of games because of that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying with like this. I usually wait till they're on sale to buy them. Usually, Outlaws and this were the only 2 times I've caved in, and Outlaws was free, so I just kind of caved in on this one a little bit, and I'm already getting punished for it, as I found out as a news topic here that, and this was as of March 10th, former Ubisoft bosses, these were probably the ones that got in trouble prior and are no longer with the company. They were on trial in France and were accused of sexual harassment. And this is according to the France 24 News. I actually had to get this translated. 3 former top executives from French video game giant Ubisoft, maker of Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, and this is quote, went on trial Monday, accused of psychologically and sexually harassing employees for nearly a decade.
Dang.
And this is a company of leadership and who has shown that their leadership can't handle being professional at all.
No.
This is the only time they got in trouble for doing sickening stuff. So just caution here.
Yeah, it's bad.
So
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm gonna kind of read from the article here because, like I said, putting into words, I don't want to like misspeak. I said quoting from France 24 here. Let me see if I can grab a name. Doesn't look like I've got a name for the reporter here. But quoting the article, after the appearance of anonymous testimonies on social media, the accused stated the company of toxic work culture and alleged the predatory behavior by powerful managers. Ubisoft in 2020 launched a probe and announced the departure of several senior executives. An executive shakeup at Ubisoft was hailed by the same Me Too moment in the male-dominated video game publishing industry, which has faced criticism in the past for misogynistic characters and imagery often found in video games. Let's see. We can find is a Serge. I'm gonna mispronounce this name here. I'm so sorry. Serge Hescott, Chief Creative Officer and the company's second in command, resigned, while Thomas Francois, Vice President of Editorial and Creative Services, and another senior executive, Guillaume Paltrow, were dismissed for serious misconduct. All three men deny the claims, with one categorically denying having harassed a single colleague, denying having knowledge of any wrongdoing by any Ubisoft employees. And that was stated by his lawyer. So the employees have complained of near daily public humiliation and hazing, with Francois being is the focus of the most damning testimonies, which have alleged. You see here. Which have alleged systemic psychological and sexual harassment at the company's offices in Eastern Paris between 2012 and 2020. Francois is alleged to have habitually watched pornographic films in an open plan office and commented on the appearance of female employees. Also accused of planting surprise kisses on the lips of employees and calling them derogatory terms. He was also accused of forcing a young employee he had just hired to do a handstand in the open plan office while wearing a skirt. Also accused of tying the same woman to a chair, putting her in an elevator, and sending her to another floor. What the fuck?
Well, at least he didn't tie her to the railroad tracks and cackle like a madman until Dudley Do-Right showed up to.
Cackle like a madman until Dudley Do-Right showed up.
What?
To...
Who does that?
Allegedly forced her to attend
Who does
a
that?
work meeting after he painted her face with a felt tip pen. In addition,
How old are
to
these
the
guys?
allegations of sexual and psychological.
How old are these guys?
These are the head execs, man. Francois is like an old man, I'm pretty sure.
Dang.
But in addition to the
Dang.
accusations of sexual and psychological harassment, Francois is being prosecuted for attempted sexual assault when he tried to forcibly kiss a young employee during a Christmas party, as she was held by other colleagues. According to an investigative report as seen by the AFP, Francois encouraged his subordinates to act in the same way, using his influence and hierarchical position within the company to this end. Whoa. So Francois is the vice president of editorial and creative services. You can probably look him up.
Not
He was.
professional.
Huh.
Not professional.
Hesqua, he's 59. This guy's 59. Francois is, I think it states how old he is. Let's see. No, but Hescott, I can't pronounce this guy's name. He's accused of lewd behavior and posing intrusive questions of sexual nature, as well as racist comments and behavior. Following the deadly jihadist attacks at Paris in 2015, he allegedly asked a Muslim employee if she agreed with the ideas of the Islamic State group. That is
Awkward.
not very nice.
No. Awkward. No.
The woman had her computer desktop background changed to the images of bacon sandwiches, and food was placed on her desk during the Islamic fasting month of Ramadan.
See, that's just being an a-hole. I mean, what the... Rob, what... I mean, we were kind of joking about, oh, it's like The Office, like inappropriate boss, but this is just a pattern of just
Bro, that's
just a
mean.
The last one wasn't even The Office because, like,
no.
you know,
mean.
I think he came in during just the tying her to the chair
No.
part, but like this guy's like forcibly kissing people and like making them do handstands, showing off their underwear.
I'd be like,
Well, the other guy was.
I'm trying to imagine like
And
that
then-
happening at my job. I'm
Open
trying to imagine
office,
like
right?
that happening at my job.
Well, okay, so because I know where you work, right?
Yeah.
Open office is like meaning like you're in
Yeah.
front of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were saying open office environment,
Mhm.
meaning that they went into a work meeting probably, and he said, "Okay." He pointed at her and said, because she did something like he didn't like, or that she asked a question he thought was stupid, he thought was stupid. He made her get on top of a desk and do a handstand.
It's
And
like I'm gonna
probably made her
humiliate
laugh.
you, haze you.
Like, that's like some grade school
Like I'm gonna
shit.
humiliate you. Yeah, haze
and
you.
like drew on her face. Like
Yeah.
somebody's probably targeted for like humiliation. Same with this guy here. Like this lady got targeted for like racist comments during a time of crisis.
Yeah,
Um,
not cool.
the third defendant, former game director
cool.
Petro, 39, has been accused of psychological harassment. Investigators have spoken to dozens of witnesses during the probe, but many refuse to file a complaint for fear of reactions from the video game community. According to the report seen by AFP, they deplored the inertia of human resources. According to the report, according to this, it stated that they've seen several cases of moral or sexual harassment and never seen such a desire to humiliate, said Charlotte Margot, a lawyer for the Video Game Workers Union. Following an internal survey, Ubisoft said in 2020 that about 25% of its employees had been victims of professional misconduct at work or were witnesses to it.
Talk about
That is a
egregious.
Huge.
Talk about egregious.
Huge amount.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that is very sad, and like I said
Mhm.
before, it's one of those things where
Mm-hmm.
I've had a very huge love-hate relationship with that company because there are probably hardworking people who make or who try to make worlds likable in that series, that Assassin's Creed game, and then you get, the directors, and this is the reason why I hate big companies or big corporations, is we don't think people like that are that cruel, or we do, and we just decide to accept it. And it's not just the video game. It's not just video game entertainment. This could be your bank. This could be your, it could be just your job in general. This could be anywhere. This could be any major corporation, right? Right down to your grocery store. Like, everybody's got a big, corporate office. They've got investors. They've got corporate execs. They have a CEO most of the time. They have people who operate with these people. And most of the time, they're not dealing with the media. They're not under the spotlight like Ubisoft is. So, what do you think they're getting treated like? Because that's been our work culture for the longest time. And maybe they're not getting treated as bad as the Ubisoft employees, but the harassment is probably still there, somewhat.
Yeah, there's people. You have people with power. Some of them are going to abuse it. You have people with power. Some of them are going to abuse it. And people who are going to be afraid to speak up.
That they have a deadline.
And people who are going to be afraid to speak up.
Right, and there's a difference between telling somebody that they have a deadline and they need to get it done, or maybe their job performance is slipping, and they need to have the tough question be told to them, hey, are you sure that you could work for this company? Or maybe they need a kick in the ass, mentally. There's a difference between getting, having your voice raised at because you're not doing good at your job, and then, your boss is just physically annoyed at you because you might be asking a question he doesn't like, and you get mistreated, you get maybe verbally abused, or you get treated like that guy did, and he writes on your face and ties you up in the elevator.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah. Very. Yeah. Nobody likes to get dressed down by their boss at work, but nobody likes to get dressed down by their boss. That's just crazy. Weird. That's just crazy. Weird.
Very, very weird. On the on another Ubisoft report, because we just can't stop talking about these guys.
There's more?
Eurogamer. Ubisoft.
There's more?
Yeah. They're reportedly considering a fresh business to own Assassin's Creed and other big franchises, co-owned by others like Tencent. Does anybody on the podcast know who Tencent is?
They're like a bunch of supervillains, I think. They're like a bunch of supervillains, I think.
Well, they are a Ubisoft shareholder.
Well, Sean Connery snuck in there.
And they They are a big Chinese company.
Gosh.
They are pretty much responsible for a lot of that. Those really cheesy, corny, probably things that you know about. But yes, they are somebody that I personally wouldn't want involved, because any major Chinese corporation usually doesn't have any moral business practices.
Nope.
So.
Nope. I mean, you think we're bad over here.
According to a new
I mean, you think we're bad over here.
Yes. But they are being considered for a minority stake in the new venture. And this is because Ubisoft's shares were down, lowest they've ever been since the company probably started its rise to popularity. Not rise to power, but rise to popularity from Assassin's Creed and Far Cry and all that stuff, probably the mid-aughts to the early 2010s. So they've been on a huge fall, and all this other crap does not make it better for them. So, but according to this report, this business tactic could see Ubisoft's new entity valued higher than the company itself currently, which is pretty much a bailout. So that's what they're doing. They're bailing themselves out. the same time, Ubisoft's mothership would remain owned by its founding Guillemot family, which was something they were discussing about their future, which I would say probably needs a radical change in leadership. Because I think that's one of the guys that was in trouble. You see, Ubisoft confirmed it was undertaking a strategic review to help right-size the business following years of falling share prices and a string of disappointing game launches, most notably including the big-budget New Hope Star Wars Outlaws. Company's next big bet, Assassin's Creed Shadows, has been delayed twice to ensure it arrives next week in the best possible state. But at the same time, Ubisoft has cut jobs repeatedly across the business, closed several studios, including its UK-based Leamington team. Overall, the company has cut its total staff from 20,279 people in 2022 to 18,666 in September of 2024 before its most recent round of redundancies. So that's not even counting its most recent layoffs. So, and they're still talking positively about this right now. You know, talking about their quarterly sales and all that crap, how it might be great. This might be a great idea. Well, of course, because it's going to bail them out. Like the worst part about big companies to me is when they go and they speak to the press and they go, our Q3 sales review various transformational, strategic, and capitalistic options is ongoing. What does that mean? What does that mean to anybody who doesn't speak business?
Yeah.
It just sounds positive. So you're in your brain, it means that that your ship isn't falling apart, right? Congratulations. You guys cut what? Fucking almost 2,000 people. Like,
Yeah.
You could say that
Getting bailed out by the mob.
Rainbows.
Getting bailed out by the mob.
And it wouldn't sound good. Literally, all you'd have to say at this point is we're doing damage control.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand being brutally honest probably isn't going to work right now. But, yeah, the board. Why don't you start cutting members of the board? Or docking members of the board?
Yeah.
Or people under the board?
Yeah. That rarely happens.
What about these guys?
That rarely happens.
These guys on the same level as the directors who were fucking with their employees.
Hmm.
Like,
yeah.
You know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a real shame. I could go on and on about this. I'll kind of just finalize it here because I've been rambling. You've kind of had nothing to say about it. I've just kind of been rambling by myself tonight.
I'm just kind of listening, man. The only thing that I was thinking there at the end was it should be like those Japanese businessmen where they have to get up and like cry and just like grovel before everyone. Like, we screwed up. We're sorry. We screwed up. We're sorry.
I mean, yeah, I definitely have to say, and as my real final thing here, we might still be going, but Ubisoft has been on the downhill slope for some time, like probably since 2017, and it's when they first started going down, right? I mean, Unity was kind of like the nail that hit them. Not the nail in the coffin, but like with the microtransactions being kind of like a major requirement in Assassin's Creed Unity, and them just pumping out repetitive games, kind of similar to EA.
Oh yeah.
and all the other garbage. It
Mhm.
was kind of becoming an issue for them. So they tried to change things up, but then they got Me Too'd. So instead of changing things up, they just kind of stuck the same rhetoric and got Me Too'd again. I feel at this point the company's kind of beyond retribution, like full retribution. They will never be the same. There's no coming out of this hole unscathed. The name Ubisoft to most customers who know about this will now have a lasting impact, meaning that they won't buy products from you. If they do buy products from you, they will not be new. If somebody they know mentions a product from you, they will discourage buying a product from you. And the people working for you are going to slave over that product, knowing that it's not going to get respected as much because your board and your management and your leadership is literally spitting all over it.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they're blaming the consumer or what, but this is like the biggest wake-up call for them. And they've gone from making crypto video games too. They made a crypto video game. Like, there is no catching up to the current trend. You can make a game that might satisfy a younger generation, but the thing is you guys have a decent formula. You try to do it in a Call of Duty fashion. Stop doing it in the Call of Duty fashion. Do what you did here kind of with Shadows, only spice it up a little bit more. And quit trying to encourage people to buy extra shit on top of it. Because that practice is pretty much gone in the single player mindset. Put a multiplayer aspect in your game, like Rockstar does.
Yeah.
And then encourage people to buy stuff in their multiplayer game. And include a nice and decent storyline like you've been doing. That way you can appease a broader audience. But it's more work. So, you've got a deadline of 2 to 3 years. If you wanted, and Assassin's Creed is your flagship. So make a bunch of smaller titles in between then that aren't huge AAA games. This isn't the 90s. You know, start focusing on the smaller, more fun titles. Make Assassin's Creed your flagship. Make a banger. And then watch the money come in. Like, we're so focused on hollowing out the experience and seeing how much we can squeeze from the customer that the strategy has gotten boring. So most people aren't going to fall for the, oh, I want the dragon skin pack for $2.99. For what? Your single player video game?
Yeah. I think you're right.
I mean,
I think you're right.
sure, but like, make a different approach to it. Include it in a bundle or something. Like they do too much like single microtransaction purchases. If you have to do that, put it in a bundle. Or, you know, if you're gonna do like a resources purchase where you can speed through the game, at least do that in a bundle. Do something. Like, I don't encourage microtransactions, but I know they're gonna be there, and I know people are used to them. So do that, and then focus more on the monetization on a multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
Maybe make the world multiplayer for a multiplayer server. Have people come and take contracts where they can assassinate each other.
That'd be cool.
Build your own base like you could in a single player.
That'd be cool.
Buy stuff from the world with in-game currency that you can use to buy with real currency, and then, have tiered equipment, all that stuff. Just move some of it from single player to multiplayer and then update it as you go along. Instead of releasing an Assassin's Creed every 2 years or year, spend some time on this one, move on in the next 3 to 5. Make money off your current one. But like it's not 2010 anymore. I mean, fuck, even Assassin's Creed 2 had multiplayer on it. But like that's what I'm saying is they don't care no more.
Nah.
So the easier version for them is they're gonna sell a share, a bunch of shares to Tencent, and the company's gonna get communismed.
Yep.
Because that's what it's just about. It's just about money. There's no, whatever. Passion doesn't matter.
This makes me think of all the discussions I had with my fellow WWE players back when we played that game, like 2014 to 2017. It was like, oh man, they should do this, this, and this. Like, there's so much potential, but they just keep recycling the same old crap and just trying to squeeze every dollar out of people, not caring about the quality, just letting that player turnover just happen. It's it just sucks all the fun out of it. And yet there was just enough fun there that we stayed on until the bitter end. Till they redid the engine and threw it onto Xbox One.
You guys had it though. And like, that's the thing is,
it's disappointing.
Ubisoft at one point in time made decent worlds that didn't have to be miles huge or full of empty nothing. They had the Tom Clancy license. They used it to tell you a story, and even when that was popular, they used it to tell you a story. But even when like the monetization thing was, they still used it to tell you a story. They told you a story, and yeah, sometimes it was cheesy. It was about corruption or overthrowing the government or doing something that included real world ideas. Watch Dogs wasn't particularly favored because they lied about the graphics, right? But you could restore that. The game itself, the people who made that game, like, I enjoyed that game for what it was about, for the gameplay aspect, like what you could do. Was there anything in the world that you could have done? Yeah, there was some things, but I was more like focused on playing through the game because the story was good, was decent, and like it had things that kept you enticed. The second one was still just as fun. You had Splinter Cell Conviction was 2009. That was probably one of the funnest Splinter Cells I played in the more modern day. That was Sam Fisher, not as a Splinter Cell agent. He had to improvise, so he had to use things like the mirror, like a broken mirror, to see underneath, door jams, and you could shoot out whites, but like you were more susceptible of getting caught because you didn't have camo or anything like that. It made you think a little bit outside the box. And now it's like you said, the same kind of recycled material. Some of it is good because there is a formula there that is used, and then some of it isn't good because it just gets recycled and then there's no input put into it. Outlaws is a good example. Far Cry 6 is a good example. But like, it's just one of those things where I just get disappointed because you're already watching a lot of things die as you get older. But like games they used to enjoy or can still kind of enjoy, you just kind of watch them drop off the face of the earth because now I won't even own the old copies of them because they're gone.
Nothing gold can stay.
Companies like going down in flames.
Nothing gold can stay.
They're stupid.
Yep.
My wife has it tattooed on her back.
Oh man. The Outsiders.
But
The Outsiders. Hey man, I hate to say this, but
yeah,
I gotta
I hate to
go
say
in a
this,
few
but
minutes here. I've enjoyed this, but
I gotta go in a few minutes here.
yeah, no,
I've
you
enjoyed
gotta
this, but
make a call. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I got. So
yeah,
we'll
So,
probably end it here.
you
We'll go
dropped a
ahead
lot
and,
of truth there.
Get our music started.
You dropped a lot of truth there. It's good hanging out with y'all. It's good hanging out with y'all.
You're just tired. You're sleepy. You can tell.
Yeah,
Sounding sleepy. Nice out on me.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Anyway, that's it for the RantCast tonight. Hope everybody's enjoyed. I know it's been kind of a little bit dark, but I want to kind of end on a high note.
Yeah.
Hope everybody's had a good night. Take care of yourselves and each other. Once again, I am Josh, also known as TheStrangeBus. You can catch me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. Also, youtube.com/StrangeBus. I'm joined by Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest fans, and you can go ahead and let them know where you can find them.
XSC3, home of HeroQuest fans on YouTube. Twitch.tv/HeroQuest fans on Twitch. And of course, don't forget that the RantCast is going to be going on Spotify in audio format as soon as we can get it uploaded. I'm going to be gone this weekend, so no streams on HeroQuest fans, but a bunch of news is going to happen, so that's a good thing. And I'll catch up when I get back. Yeah. I've enjoyed our time together, so thanks for joining us, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody. And I said I don't know about my stream schedule, but it'll be on my Discord. So have a good night, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.
RantCast.